What's up guys, and welcome to a car I've been curious about for a long time, even in base form with a 4-cylinder or 6-cylinder engine, but today we are jumping all the way up to the top dog, the SVR Jaguar F-Type. The owner Sam mentioned this car is completely bone stock and he's actually selling it very soon, but that's not going to prevent me from experiencing the glory of this 5-liter supercharged V8 making 567 horsepower, 516 pound-feet of torque. This car is a GT, it's marketed as such, but with the SVR, which stands for Special Vehicle Operations, as you can see on the dash, this is the most hardcore, highest performance version of the F-Type. We have an 8-speed ZF automatic transmission with these very nice metal paddle shifters. The gear shifter itself, if you push it over to the left, pull to upshift, push to downshift. We have adaptive dampers, a valved exhaust, and for drive modes, we have a dynamic mode, which basically turns on the adaptive dampers to their firmer setting. The dampers, unfortunately, don't have their own separate adjustment outside of that. We have electric power steering. This car weighs about 3,800 pounds, so it's definitely not a lightweight sports car, but let's see if that SVR treatment actually makes this car feel more nimble than its curb weight would suggest. We have front and rear double wishbone suspension, titanium exhaust, forged wheels, and this one has the very rare carbon ceramic brake option, which should shave about 100 pounds off the curb weight. So this one might actually be a little less than 3,800 pounds, although it does have the optional moonroof, so that might make up that weight difference. On the market right now, you can pick these up for around $60,000 to $65,000 used, which is insane because this one as spec'd was over $140,000 MSRP not that long ago. So these are definitely heavily depreciated vehicles now. So for under 65 grand, might this just be one of the best sporty GTs you can buy? Let's find out. Love this interior. Alcantara all over the center console, quilted leather seats. The shape of this center area actually very much reminds me of the Aston Martin V8 Vantage, the way this kind of bulges towards you. Love that the air vents come up to meet you when you turn the car on. Switchgear, not super high quality if I'm being honest, but overall the look and feel is very nice. It's very British, and that comes with its pros and cons. So we have this in dynamic mode, which opens up that exhaust valve, stiffens up the suspension. Now this car is all-wheel drive. You can't get the SVR, surprisingly, in rear-wheel drive. A few squeaks and rattles from this interior, as you'd expect from a British-built sports car. Second gear. Oh, pretty sluggish downshift there from third to second from the ZF 8-speed. This is probably an earlier version of the ZF 8 that we all know and love today. Wow, this engine. Very slow to downshift, following a beautiful Z3, which we'll be driving in just a second. This car is all about the engine. Obviously the looks are phenomenal from outside as well, but this supercharged V8 is the star of the show. Brake feel is quite good, very firm pedal. The adaptive dampers in their stiffer setting, the damping quality actually feels quite nice, but the car does still feel its weight, 3,800 pounds. Hard to hide that kind of mass. A little bit jiggly over the bumps. It might just be some interior panels. Let me demonstrate just how much quicker this car is compared to the Z3. We caught him at the top of second gear. Wow. Lots of traction from this all-wheel drive system, which I guess probably is the reason Jaguar gave this SVR all-wheel drive as the only option. Rear-wheel drive with this much power and torque might be too much of a handful for customers. The steering feel actually isn't too bad. It doesn't have a ton of feedback, but the weighting and the way it loads up and the ratio all feel very cohesive, especially for a GT-focused sports car. Oh. some of those tighter corners, this car actually feels pretty sprightly. It's no Z3, but it's surprisingly good in the corners. Wish we could try this car on a racetrack where we could really explore how this all-wheel drive is tuned. Is it really very rear biased? Can we get big gobs of power oversteer, or is it set up to feel more safe? In the canyons, I would say it's more of the latter. We just have a lot of traction coming out of every corner. Really impressed by this suspension. The adaptive dampers feel really well tuned. Very composed over the bumps, but it actually keeps the body relatively flat. This car reminds me of that Aston Martin V8 Vantage in so many ways. I just wish this gearbox was better. I expected more from a ZF 8-speed, but I guess this generation, or maybe it's just the way Jaguar tuned it, I'm not sure, but it just doesn't feel nearly as snappy as the modern units. I love the way this car changes direction in the S's. It feels a lot more willing to dance with you than I expected. And this exhaust with the valve open, the cracks and pops, the burbles, it's such a tremendous powertrain. If somehow they had managed to fit a manual transmission to this like they did for some of the V6 models, this car might be my new pick in the sub $100,000 GT sports car segment. All right, let me do something here. Windows cracked. First gear. Brace yourself. Oh wow, there's a lot of wind buffeting. What an engine! It's a crazy muscle car engine fitted into a somewhat svelte, very aesthetically pleasing British sports car. It's a great recipe for giggles. You don't have to be pushing this car 10/10 to have a huge smile on your face. That's what I love about it. Is this car reliable? I have no idea. Probably not. But will this car put a smile on your face every time you drive it, and in comfort when you just want to chill? Absolutely. Big shout out to the owner Sam for letting me experience this F-Type SVR. He said he might be replacing this with a McLaren next. He must have a thing for British sports cars. All right, guys, let me know what you think of the F-Type overall, and of course the F-Type SVR. Is it worth $60,000 to $65,000, or are you getting into just a maintenance nightmare? Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.